Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 podcast. My name's Palm,
And I'm Andy.
and together we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome to your favorite watch-related podcast. Today we have a guest who's all about watches, cars, and passion.
Yeah, it's my great pleasure to invite Thibaut GUITTARD onto the show from ALTO Watches. So, most importantly, Thibaut, how are you doing today? It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Hello, guys. How are you? Thanks for the invitation. I'm good.
An absolute pleasure, Thibaut. Wonderful to see you again. And what we need to do now is a quick wristwatch check. We have to ask the question, what have you got on your wrist?
What do I got on my wrist? Alto, of course. I got the Art 01 first edition. What about you guys?
So today I am wearing my Rolex GMT Master 2 BLNR, the Batman. It's the Generation 1. The year this was made was in 2013, which was the first year it was put into production. So that's what I've got on my wrist.
Andy, what you got?
You know, me being a little bit, I don't want to say vintage, because this watch is actually very close to my birthday, as in terms of its production year. So I'd like to say neo vintage. It's not so old. I'm wearing a Tudor Submariner 76-100 Lollipop, which is a transitional model. I believe just before, like, there was the Snowflake, when it transitioned into the Lollipop, and then later the Mercedes hands, we all know. Really, really cool piece. I had a Tudor Submariner in the past. I made the mistake of moving that one on. That was an original Snowflake. Had the opportunity to get one again at a sensible price because they have gone crazy. And yeah, I'm so pleased that I got it back. Anyway, that's enough about me and I could talk about the Tudor for the whole show. Yeah, let's get into the main show and let's learn about our special guest. So, Thibaut, as we always want to introduce our listeners to the brand, how it came about, to understand the philosophy behind how it came to be. So maybe first of all, you could share your watch journey with us. So what started your passion for watches? And then leading from that, what actually made you want to start a ultra high premium watch brand?
Thank you, Andy. So my name's Thibaut. Yeah, I grew up in France. I studied business and marketing in France and in the US. I basically come from a family of entrepreneurs. From my grandfather to my father to my and also my sister. We all have the risk in our blood, let's say. And this is the project of my life. Alto is a huge project to me. What more can I say about me? I'm a really creative person. Since I was a kid, I was drawing a lot, playing a lot of music when I was younger. I've also been very curious about everything, especially art in particular, and all forms of art, to be honest. And that's basically the genesis, I guess, of how Alto grew little by little in my bones and for like a long time. I have a lot of passions. Besides watches, it's basically music, art, architecture, design, cars, of course. So yeah, that's basically who I am.
Awesome. So a great introduction. I think the next question would be just how did the brand come to be? I think it's quite a challenge, right, as well to launch a watch brand. So what was the building up process to that?
Yeah, it is a challenge. It is a huge challenge that takes a lot of time. Basically, long story short, after my graduation, I was already in love with watchmaking. I was doing this memorandum to end up the business school, and the topic was the watch marketing and the bridges between motor racing and watchmaking. So that is a true story because the exact name of the memo was, well, in English that would be, how can car design stimulates the watchmaker creativity, something like that in English. So we are in 2010, 15 years ago, and I was already in this topic. And then I got this internship after graduation at Audemars Piguet, AP, in France as marketing and communication. I stayed there 5 years, and I really, at that period, fell totally in love with beauty, with watchmaking excellence. So yeah, 5 years at AP, and then I left AP. Was about 30 years old or 20, 28, something like that. I went back to the south of France where I grew up, and I went to work in a total different industries because, as I said before, we are a family of entrepreneurs, and we have a family-owned companies in the industry of gases and composite materials, so nothing to do about with watchmaking. So I went back to South to work in family. I realized after 2 3 years that I wanted to come back to my gut feeling, which was watchmaking. And I said to myself, okay, what can you do? Are you going to build a brand? Are you going to come back in a brand? What do you want to say to the world? What can you do? I was doing at night and weekends this mood board, sort of mind map, where you put some pictures and try to find some links between those pictures. And I had pictures of Olaf Eliasson art installations, Giorgetto Giugiaro cars of the 70s, the Daft Punk helmets, Christopher Nolan's movies, all sorts of patchwork of passions. And one day I said, okay, stop finding a link between those pictures. Just be this link. So from that day, everything became very obvious. This would be a watch brand dedicated to art and a watch brand exploring time through the eyes of artists. That's basically the first statement. And of course, as I knew all the industry and all the watches on the market, I was really looking for something different. I was looking for a watch that was a complete departure in style with a strong emotional appeal and with, let's say, fine watchmaking movement, absolute comfort on wrists, and a radical design. So that's the starting point.
Just one small nudge from me is going back to AP.
hmm
How much of an influence did that have on you? How much of an impact did that have on your journey? Like to start in the brand, did it have any, or that was just a part of it, and then the brand came later?
No, the brand came later. When I was at AP, I fell in love with watchmaking. That was a big journey for me because I discovered the insight of what a watch brand is. At that period, it was already very strong, but not as strong as now. So we were making campaigns, we were spending money on events, on the clientele, on everything like that in the French market. And I discovered a lot of great people, a lot of good energy. And at the end, I realized that all those people I interact with, from the press to the collectors to the people at AP, were truly passionate. And I said, okay, that's crazy how a small object like a watch can relay so much passion. That was really impressive for me and really a new discovery.
What was your first watch? Where did that journey begin? Where did you start to think watches are something I am so passionate about from the beginning?
The passion for watches started like when I was a kid, like every kid. I had this Swatch watch on my wrist that you have for like typical birthday or Christmas. And yeah, I realized like the technique and the size of this object was so small. I was just fascinated. And again, as I loved drawing sketches of everything, I started drawing some watches like this, but as a kid. I'm not a watch designer at the end, but yeah, I think it's always been something very fascinating to me. Most importantly, I think that I'm a man of passion, and I think that I have a special relation with time because any passion that I have, any obsession that I have, the link towards all of those things is my obsession with time. And this is something that in 10 years I can do, maybe, or 20 years, any other project or anything, or other watch brands or other projects, anything. My relationship with time is always something very special. I find in watches and in this watch project and in this brand access to the measurement of time, the flexibility of time, and it's something very obsessive to me, and I love that. I just love that.
Okay. Was there a particular timepiece that you've owned that made you fall in love with it anymore? I mean, I'm sure you've made. I mean, apart from the Alto watch, of course, but is there anything that's really just captured your heart and thought, "Wow, this is art on my wrist," or "This is I just love having this."
When I was young, nothing in particular took my attention, but lately, the last 10 years, yeah, I have some watches that I think are more interesting than others. The Octo Finissimo is something very interesting. The
Yes.
RM6702 is something very interesting also. Yeah, but apart from that, I'm not, no, there's nothing really incredible I put on my wrist, to my opinion. So, no.
From those designs that you've just mentioned, the RM and the Octo, you like unconventional designs. You seem to like something that breaks the norm, and it kind of ties in with the Alto watch that the first watch you released,
Yeah,
and RM having a
absolutely.
big connection with cars as well. Is that the reason why?
No. I mean, it took me 2 years to find the right designer to end my sketches that I had like 5 years ago and to achieve the final work of the Art 01. Because again, we're back just before COVID, like 2019, 2020, something like that. And I mean, I don't follow any trend. Let me put it that way. If I was following a trend back to 2018, 2019, I would have done a round watch chronograph with a vintage vibe, plain and simple. So no, I'm not into this. I wanted something really radical and to have a new emotion on the wrist. So until I have the right and the perfect design of a watch that I can put on my wrist, I wouldn't have do this project.
So you like to make your own rules, right? And just break the
Exactly.
norm and be known for who you are and what you design. That's an
Exactly.
Alto, yeah? Something that just stands out from the others. And how long did it take to design?
So I met different designers. The two first ones, they said to me, your sketch is impossible. It's technically impossible to put on the wrist and to make it. And then someone said to me, okay, if there's someone that can design you properly your watch, it's got to be Bart Nussbaumer. And Bart Nussbaumer at that time was someone I didn't know. So I got the introduction to him. He was working for many different brands, many different independent brands mostly. And he said to me, okay, give me some time and let's see what I can do. And I mean, like 4 or 5 months after that, or 6 months after that, he calls me and says, okay, I think I have something. Come to Switzerland and I show you. And that was basically perfect. That was exactly what I wanted. And I was respecting like 99% of my sketches that I showed him. So from that point, the whole process of creation of a brand started. But I wasn't sure before that starting point that I was going to do a brand.
Oh, really? Okay, so you just had a vision and that was it. And you thought,
Yeah,
right, can I make this come to life?
exactly.
Okay.
So maybe now go more into the watch itself. And me and Pam's been fortunate enough to try it. I remember when
Yeah.
I first met you, Thibaut, in Barcelona, and at the time you only had I think it was like a
Yeah.
3D printed version or something not working, and just trying to tell the concept. So I guess that was a journey for myself. It was, and something honestly I'm very pleased to see somebody with so much passion showing me this plastic watch, and then meeting you in Geneva later with the working prototype was really cool to see. But it has a few tricks up its sleeve. One of which is the second hand go in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, that is one of the
Does that link to back to your like obsession with time, your fascination with time?
it is linked to a big passion I have for Christopher Nolan's movie and all his cinematography. Yeah, it is exactly what I was mentioning before, like the flexibility of time, the reversibility of time. He's obsessed about time, like me. And this is the connection I have with him, even if I don't know him. But I recognize in every movies that he does that the topic is not the nuclear bomb, the topic is not the dream, the topic is always time and his obsession with time. I said to myself, okay, do we have a second hand running backwards on the market, but only the second hands? Because a movement itself running totally the other way, it does exist. I mean, we have some, and like last year, the Cartier Rewind, and we have many examples, but only the second hand. I was okay. I was looking, etc., and no, nothing. So I said, let's try to do it. Of course, when you meet the manufacturer with which I work with, the Cercle des Horlogers, they said, okay, we've never done that. I mean, and in Switzerland, it's very conservative country where taking risks and doing things that nobody does, it's sometimes tricky. But they said, okay, let's try it. And we tried. And at the end, we have the only watch in the world with a second hand running backwards. And I'm super proud of that. But that's not the only thing that is truly unique on this Art 01 first edition. The only thing that is unique is this sapphire that is bombed and beveled. So it's curved and rounded at the same time. And it's a nightmare to produce. And this is another really proud novelty we bring with this brand and with this watch. So yeah, the result that you got on guys on the wrist that you saw maybe was we met at Watches and Wonders, right? In April 2024. I make a connection with a friend, a watch designer. He was working at that time for a huge brand, and I know him for like 10 years. I said to him, okay, I gotta see you because you have to see what I've done. I talked about the watch like for years now. We haven't met lately, so if you're at Watches and Wonders, please come 1 hour and I show you the watch. That guy was Raphaël Abeillon. He told me, okay, I know what it is. He was impressed by the watch, and he told me, I know what it is to start from scratch, from a white paper, a watch design. So he was really impressed, and he congratulated me, etc. A few weeks after that, he calls me and he said, okay, I was thinking about your projects, etc. You gotta need someone with you to build a collection and to build a proper brand. And I said, do you apply? And he said, yeah, why not? Let's think about it. And yeah, and he came to the brand in August for Geneva Watch Days, so 3 months after Watches and Wonders. He's a big part of the project because he got the product size, so he's the creative director. So there's me, there's Raphaël, and there's a third person really important who is Mathieu César, in charge of all the image of the brand. And Mathieu is someone who with I share a lot of things, music, cars. We have a big relationship towards all those passions we share. And between Raphaël, Mathieu, and I, there's a big connection, and this is the essence of the brand now. We cannot work without one of those three. So I'm pretty happy to be surrounded by those guys now.
So this designer who came on board to join ALTO Watches and left a big brand, is that a brand that's known for I'm guessing that's a brand that's known for their shapes. I mean, I think it was probably Cartier that he left to join ALTO. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. That's correct. That's correct.
To get a Cartier designer, what a coup! What an amazing feather to have in your cap to bring someone in of that high prestige. So no, top marks to you, and you know what you're doing. It just when you find out things like this, you think, yeah, there's a lot going on here.
I think he's one of the best designers of his generation, or probably the best designer of his generation, with no doubt. But yeah, what I what I suggest you guys is that maybe invite him to your podcast, and he will tell his story because he's a truly a remarkable person, and he will explain his journey in watchmaking, in cars. He has a huge journey. So
okay,
so yeah.
we'll do that. That's signed up. You've committed to getting him on our show, so let's do it. But
yeah.
But back to you. So what cars inspired you to make this watch? I understand the design came from a 1970s style sports, or give us a bit more insight. Give our listeners a bit more insight into the motivation for it.
So yeah, the case is directly inspired by the wedge design era of the 70s, which is known for the great masters like Giugiaro, Berton. In the car industry, there is this era, 70, 71, 72, where car builders were applying designers to make great concept cars with no compromise, basically. So I don't know if I can mention some brands, but like the Maserati Boomerang, cars like this, really sharp, no round angles, only like sharp angles. I was just fascinated by this era and the vision, because this era at the end is just a pure freedom, and the vision of the future they had in that period, in that era of the 70s. So I was truly amazed by that. And since that period of the 70s, there has been zero creativity in this regard at this level of risk taking in terms of creativity of shape. Now everything you do in cars, even concept cars, are really made for everybody, let's say, to please everybody. And this is what I love about this period. That you can love it or hate it, but you cannot be indifferent to those designs. So yeah, that was the first inspiration for the design. And also, I wanted something really sophisticated, really clear and clean. And yeah, Daft Punk is also something I'm obsessed about. This group has an image and a sophistication and a music that speaks to me a lot. So yeah, I wanted to have this mystery also on the wrist, which is the reason why there's no nothing much than the ends, and that's it on the dial.
Okay, that actually lets me plug our website perfectly. So if you want to see pictures of the ALTO ART 01 and of the cars Thibaut's talking about, the Ferrari Modulo, the Aston Bulldog, or the Lancia Stratos HF0, check out our website at www.chronopassion7, the number 7.com, where you'll see pictures of the watches and these incredibly 70s looking design cars.
Brilliant. So I think that maybe leads us to the next segment, which would be the future of Alto. Where does it go from the Art 01? What's next? Where does the journey take us?
This year, 2025, is really important for us. We launched lately 2 monochromatic models. They are called Monochrome Gray and Monochrome Black. There are 2 iterations of the essence of the Art 01 first editions, which was duochromatic, and we split it on 2 models, deeply monochromatic, monochrome black and monochrome gray. So these are 2 models are truly day and night, light and shadow, really different and really similar at the same time. So yeah, and the third watch is a métier d'art watch. We with Raphaël, we really wanted to dive into the métier d'art. As the brand is truly connected to art, we really wanted to do something very special in métier d'art, and we are pretty sure we invented a new savoir-faire in the stone dial work.
Because that's quite a bold thing. Métier d'art is very métier d'art for our listeners, if however they say it. You say it properly, of course. Like you say, you're a risk taker. That's a big risk, as you say, being an entrepreneur and a risk taker. That is a big one.
It is a big risk, but at the same time, it's so meaningful. We want to do something that really means something. We don't want to bring models that have no sense. So that's the reason why we will not do like 10 novelties per year or 15 novelties per year. It's impossible for us in terms of size of the brand first, but also in terms of creativity. We just want to do things that truly make sense. And we have probably, if everything's okay, another surprise in summer with a big collaboration in the art world. But it's too soon now to talk about that.
Okay, well, keep your eyes open for that then. Watch this space.
I'm guessing the new concept, will it be embodying the same cosmetic shape, so the same K shape, or will it be something different?
Yeah, this year we have exactly the same volume and shape, but next year we are trying to introduce not a new shape, but a new size of the same shape, and probably metal bracelet also.
Oh, okay. So moving from
Okay.
rubber to steel.
Exactly.
It's interesting, yeah. So integration kind of design, would you say?
Probably.
Oh, you can't say.
What do you think? What do you think? What
I
would you
think
do?
yeah, of course, integration. Oh no,
Maybe,
I won't do
maybe not.
integration. No, not at all.
Well, the AP influence, the Royal Oak influence, you never know. But something tells me maybe not.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
Or maybe. Watch this space, then. Absolutely.
Thibaut, just looking at some pictures of the Art 01 and just the movement, the design on it, the shapes, like you say, the straight lines, the right angles, and just tell us about it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it took us a lot of time. Also, it's the keyword is radicality again and again. We have the chance to have an exclusive in-house movement developed by Cercle des Horlogers for this shape, and this was the challenge to integrate in this shape a 4 mm movement, micro rotor. Also, because the link with design is super important, we have shaped the movement with those bridges that you see that are really angled and really makes it different and makes it simple at the same time. Yeah, that is something, sharp angles, prominent lines. We are keeping the movement in the brand's stylistic codes, let's say. It's a watch in its globality, you know?
Okay, yeah, universal. Yeah. Is the Caliber A01 going to be used throughout your range of watches going forward as well, or will we see a surprise?
We're going to have this year this Caliber A01 on the new models. But when you talk about new size for 26, 27, 28, if you move anything in terms of size and proportion, you have to change the movement because this movement was made specifically for that shape and for that case. So when we're going to launch in 26 the Art 02, which will be smaller, we're going to start over a new movement, a new caliber.
with the second hand in reverse gear in the 01, are we going to go in a forward gear next time, or are we sticking
Well,
to reverse?
guess what? No, we're gonna keep that as a signature of the brand. We're gonna keep that.
Excellent. That's very cool. Very cool.
Gosh, it just sparks the curiosity side. Like, could you do a chronograph with the seconds going backwards and the chronograph going forwards? That'd be cool.
Yeah, the seconds going backwards, the minutes going forwards, and the hours going backwards. There you go. That's
the challenge. Yeah, how crazy can you get it?
Yeah.
And a mono pusher. It's got to be mono pusher with the Cartier link.
Yeah, and the days going sideways.
I'm not answering to this question. It's too soon.
Oh, it sounds like it could be better. But one detail.
Be, yeah.
There's one detail. What's quite incredible as well is the dial, and we can't finish without talking about that dial.
The dial it's like a lame dial. We don't know how to name it. Lame dial or like a Persian dial or stairs dial. Everybody got his own name for that. But yeah, it's a very specific dial that is gonna be truly incredible on the new models that you're gonna see for the métier d'art, and that has never been done before in the history of watchmaking. So in terms of stones, we are exploring this design to the ultra limit.
Exciting, really, really exciting. I can't wait to see the new releases, and I believe at the time of this show being aired, they'll all be there. So I'll plug the website, so make sure we'll have all the new range on there. So go to www.chronopassion7.com so you can take a closer look at these incredible pieces.
So yeah, talking about that dial, you say stairs dial, it does look like a step pyramid to me. It does have that very mysterious Aztec kind of look to it. And that's something that isn't really a trend at the moment. But talking of trends, what do you think is upcoming this year? Do you think other watch brands and makers, independents more likely, will follow suit with what you're doing? Or do you think they'll play it safe?
That's a good question. I imagine 2025 and 2026 with independent brands that will continue to create and to push some boundaries in terms of design and movement creativity. I think that it's going to be complicated for big brands. I think that we all see that the crisis in China, there's a reduction of consumption in luxury in general in the entire world. So it's, I don't know, I think with Trump, US market, it's going to be a difficult year, I think. I think that I still think, and I will continue thinking that the creativity, the deep and true creativity, pass by the independence. So not only these super small niche brands like us, of course, but I mean independence in general. So with Max, with MBNF, brands like this, they will push boundaries again and again and again, disregarding the global market industry. What do you guys think about this 2025 year?
From my perspective, at least, something what I was seeing in 2024 as well is independents taking more spotlight away from major brands. Not that major brands aren't doing amazing things, but I got an essence of independence that was getting talked about a little bit more throughout the press circuit, throughout the Instagram, influencers, if you like. It was a big independent scene. But everything's a bit unprecedented and a bit unpredictable, I would say, as well. So it's going to be hard to see. I'd definitely like to see more bold risks from major brands as well. But again, they've got to stick to a formula, right? What pleases a majority, and I think that's when the independents can have a bit more fun. Final little trend I've seen is smaller sizes coming into fashion in the previous year. Will that continue? And when I say smaller sizes, I don't mean we're going to go 32, 30 millimeter. I'm not being silly, but we were kind of going up to 42, 44, then going back to that 40 mil to 38 millimeter. I think that's a sensible sizing, but I don't know. It's an interesting market, and I'm quite excited to see what comes this year. But yeah, Palm, what do you think?
I think it's an interesting year because the mainstream will be the mainstream. But when you talk about independence, I think Louis Erard, what they're doing is they did a watch with Vianney Halter, they did Konstantin Chaikin, that could be a way forward. Like you say, with the financial crisis, it could be a way to make independence more accessible and affordable, the big independents. Like Grunfeld did their own affordable Grun watch. I think that could be one way for someone to taste, well, a Grunfeld. You could get, I don't know, Laurent Ferrier doing a collab with a smaller brand. Like, look at Moser. They did something with Studio Underdog. Not the most affordable, but it's happening. There's collaborations with up and coming, not so expensive brands, and the high end, the ones, shall we say, the price point isn't available to most consumers. They're kind of linking up and they're making some noise. And I think that could be a possibility this year. You could see a lot more of that because Louis Erard doing lots of them. I think they've done so many now. But the Vianney Halter one was a big surprise for me. And it's a really nice watch. That's where I see independence possibly making it, getting more visibility, getting onto more wrists of people, because there's a production limitation. If an independent company, you haven't got a large manufacturer, you have what you have and you make it by hand, and you want top quality and not production line. So yeah, what do you think of that? That's my take on it.
I don't know. I think it's so hard to predict, right? But I think independence, it's a bit different, right? Because, and Thibaut, you know this better than me, so interrupt me at any point. But independents have the ability to have a dedicated crowd of collectors who love their brand, who are in the right position to able to keep acquiring that brand. So any kind of crisis for these kind of brands, like you say, Laurent Ferrier, with the sheer amount of production they actually do, they've got enough buyers to always never have that worry. As I think it's more of a fear for larger brands, bigger corporations, where they're going to have more stress if there is any implementation on buying habits and on the markets this year, because they're just at a bigger volume, right? And it's a different clientele. So that's my takeaway. Yeah.
For trends, though, that
I agree.
I think larger brands, they have to play it safe. Production is high, and that's something they're going to have to look at. But I don't think I just can't see anything radical from a mainstream large brand will probably cost you more than it would if they played the same hand. So, and how receptive will people be towards that? That's
the only other trend you could see is a reduction in product lines within major brands, possibly to cater to the new market. It's interesting, but then things are planned way ahead, so it's probably not the case. But I think rather than talking the financial aspects, which is something it does circulate in the WhatsApp groups amongst collectors, and yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a little bit. Yeah, the money side, I think we all get that image. Trend wise, let's go to dial color. Do you think this mocha mousse is a thing? Do you think that's going to catch on, brown dials? Or do you think it's going to be a completely different color?
I think it's already here. Mocha dials are here already, right?
You're talking about brown, the color brown. Oh, you see it as a trend.
It was forecast, right? It's this foundation, right, of color experts who predicted this would be the color of the 2025.
A foundation of color experts,
something like that. I don't know. Do you remember what it's called? I forget.
There's definitely money around when you've got a foundation of color experts.
It's something like that. I saw the website and I'm like, yeah, something along that lines.
Okay, that's interesting though, because I think Moser did it, Bremont did it, Grand Seiko were always doing it. There's a lot of brown dials. Do you think it's possible you could get more, because not everyone is doing it? I don't know what color what's the next color? Purple's kind of done, red kind of people tried, but Thibaut will know better than us actually.
Actually, no, because I don't follow trend that much. No, I don't have any color in mind or any. Honestly, I don't have any color in mind. Because we do monochromatic also this year, so
maybe that's it. Maybe that is for
we are totally outside of any trend, because we do pure monochromatic. We try to explore the color in itself with a very specific way, and no, we're not into like super blue or brown or what's the next color, or because it's gonna be fun for 1 year, but then the year after you have to follow another trend. So it's not we're not into this. And to be honest, I don't have any specific color in mind that could be the next big thing, like green or like I don't.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. One thing though is that a lot of these celebrities are wearing these tiny little Cartier watches, and the Banois and the little tanks, and I don't see that translating into into just general watch enthusiast. I think that could disappear soon. I hope it does, because I think it's small watch. Nothing wrong with small watches, but when they're postage stamp size, you kind of think, come on, that's just
There's a limit, right?
it's getting a bit silly now.
There's I think there's definitely a limit to that, and I'm hands up famous for wearing small watches. Although I've got I've moved away.
Not that small.
Not that small. Not that
You
small.
haven't done that.
I've not gone
Yeah,
that. The smallest
not
I've
that
gone is
small.
like, I don't know, 30 millimeter, which is, I remember I thought it looked kind of okay, and then I saw a picture of it on my wrist in like my photo gallery on my phone. I'm like, my word, that looks like it looks so wrong. But you don't realize it at the time sometimes, and you just like the watch itself for what it is, so you don't care. You wear it. That one thing I was going to touch on is stone dials. That was a trend towards the back end of 2024, and that could equally continue, I think,
Yeah.
in 2025.
It's interesting talking of stone though, because we had Nicholas Bowman Scargill from British brand Fears watches on, and he said he probably wouldn't do a stone dial because what he wants to, whatever he does, it has to be the best quality. And he says you do get brands that are coming out, very affordable brands that are doing it right now and making it very popular. But he said to actually do it at a higher end, it's very difficult to get that quality of stone and to be able to trust that you're getting that quality of stone to put into your product as well. Stone dials at a higher end. I mean, I know back in the day you had well, you still do get lapis lazuli or lapis lazuli or however you say it, and tiger's eye, aventurine, but I think those have always been something that a brand would do. Dress watches or something that you'd get them in that. Chapek did something quite radical, I thought, by putting it into their Antarctique, which was different. You don't normally see that. Yeah, in higher end watches, I don't know if, again, it depends if the company is willing to gamble on that quality and the price point. You were seeing stone dials everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally,
In the
it
budget
was,
range as well.
yeah, in the budget
5
range as well.
to
You normally see
1500.
them on higher end. Yeah, exactly. Under €1,000, that kind of price point. You were seeing an explosion of stone dial watches. Interesting question I've written down here is Daft Punk, Christopher Nolan, 70s cars equals ALTO watches.
Totally.
Yeah. So what the movies thing? Because I like a lot of his films. I haven't seen all of them. Big fan of the Dark Knight trilogy, Insomnia. The one with, what was the one with the dream within a dream
Inception.
within a dream?
Inception.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. What is it about his movies that, from the way you designed, what is it that stimulates your mind about his movies, apart from the time aspect? But what is it? There's something, because he's very deep and dark, and there's a whole lot going on in these movies. There's a plot within a plot within a plot. Is that what the watch is? I mean, you look at the design. There's a design within a design within a design, or what is it that you think about with him?
I'm not going to compare myself to Christopher Nolan because he's a huge guy. I don't want to be like in this type of.
You could be the Christopher Nolan of the watch world.
Yeah, well, this is really pretentious, and no, it's more like Christopher Nolan to me is more inspiration, but not at all comparison. Really inspiration. I don't know. It's more like it's not the way he build the story or the way. It's just that you have never seen a movie like that before. Every movie he does, there's nothing that you can compare it to. It's impossible to compare to anything to me. And I'm not a huge cinema connoisseur. Like I don't have this pretension to say that I have seen all the movies, etc. I'm not like it's a passion, but not like something I know super well in all these years and centuries, etc. But I recognize that Christopher Nolan has this, I don't know what, this this je ne sais quoi of something else in the movie that you can cry and you can like have all the emotions in the same movie, and everything's perfect, and you see film and you see one topic that has been treated like a million times in a million of movies, but it treated the proper way and a way that has never been done before. And that's something that truly is very inspirational to me. As I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I just built like 8 months ago a new brand in the market. But
Yeah.
why would the world need a new watch brand? I mean, there's a new watch brand every year. So the commitment and what you really want to say is so important. And I think that he's so passionate about what he does that the way he film it makes it interesting and emotional. And he works in an angle that has never been seen before. And that's what I try to do in my ways. You know what I mean?
I know exactly
Trying
what you
to
mean.
have
Yeah,
to see things in a different perspective and following
exactly.
your own perspective. And that's the thing I've learned from when you watch exactly the movies, etc. You understand that he has a vision and he wants to put his own perspective.
He's telling a story that, like you say, has been told 100 or 1,000 times before, but he's put his own. He's told it in his own way and made it interesting, more interesting than the other ways. I mean, again, in the watches, when it comes to design and vision and creativity, that's what you need, right?
That's what we try to do. We don't have we
Yeah.
don't pretend to do exactly like Christopher Nolan, but we try to to follow this behavior and this type of journey. This is what we try to do. Breaking rules, doing our own things, doing things that has never been done before, be radical. That's exactly the commitment that we want to do. And again, like him, exploring time through a different perspective and through, in our case, the eyes of artists and through the art in general.
Yeah, through a different lens.
That's a really nice way to round it up. I think that's a
I have one question. Actually, I've got one question more. This is a little question.
Go ahead.
What's reception been like for the Art 01? How has it been received by the media and the watch buying public?
Very well, to be honest. We have mostly like 99% of the people who tried it, have seen it, really like it. We are really happy with that. The reception is very good in terms of clients, collectors, media, everybody. But the nice thing I've seen also is that this is something very disruptive in a way that or you super like it or you hate it. I wasn't prepared of that, but on Instagram I received so much messages on it's horrible. I don't like it. How can you do that? Message very, very strong and very bad. And I was like, okay, wow, I wasn't prepared to that. I wasn't prepared to receive such message. And this is a small amount of message compared to the amount of people that call us and want the piece and are truly in love with the shape, etc. This is a very small amount of bad messages, but still, I think I like this at the end, the way that loving a piece or hating it, but having a big reaction on that, I think I like that.
Yeah, it shows you've shook it up a bit, like you say. That's what disruptors do. They turn things upside down and make a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. This is something I've seen this year, and that was very surprising to me. So yeah, please continue, guys, to love those models or hate those models, as long as you have an opinion on it. It's interesting for me.
No, because okay, sorry, I'm going to carry on a little bit now as well. But I remember first seeing it, I didn't quite understand the design code, and then we sat down and you explained it and you showed us the cars and just everything, and then in the end, it was like it was hard to give you the watch back. It was like, wow, this is I totally get it. And this is the thing. Sometimes again, we say this a lot. Just looking at photos of things, you're not going to get everything. It's just something very unique. When something's very unique, you have to experience
To
it. You have
explain,
to touch
yeah,
it, feel
it's
it.
an
yeah.
experience, yeah.
We absolutely know that there's people that will not like it at all. We know that, but it's okay. I mean, we're doing such a small amount of watches that we are okay with the fact that people can hate us or love us. But at the end, we know that you need to experience it to see it in hand. But it gives some model and a brand that has some curiosity. That you want to see more. You want to touch it. You wanna have it in your hand. You wanna understand more.
Yes, exactly. Leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, it's a lot more than what meets the eye. And I think that leads just nicely to one last point. For any listeners who would like to see Alto, where can they find you? If I want to try a piece in person.
Now they can send me a message via Instagram or via the website. We can interact. We are very flexible. We see people everywhere in Europe. So if you're in London, if you're in basically Barcelona, London, Milan, or anywhere in Germany, etc., we can easily show you the piece. So yeah, basically they have to send me a message.
So there you go. You all know now. So you're going to get an influx of
messaging,
messages. Yeah.
It'd be me and Andy.
Yeah. Well, what an absolute pleasure, Thibaut, as always. Great to finally have
you
you on the
guys.
show and to share your great mind about the brand. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, thank you again for this podcast. It was a pleasure to speak a little bit about the brand.
A pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Thibaut. It was our pleasure, and we hope you all enjoyed listening to Thibaut talk about this incredible brand, this incredible vision of his, and this very exciting journey that ALTO Watches are on. And on that note, Andy, do you want to see us out the show?
It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Make sure to check out the website. You know the website by now. So until the next one, it is adios and hasta luego from here in Barcelona.
And as Andy says, farewell from Barcelona in Spain. Thibaut says farewell from France.
Thank you, guys. Au revoir.
From London, it's Toodle Pip and laters, and we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.